Welcome back to another episode of LongShots. Today, we have CBS sports analyst, founder of the football Gameplan, standout running back for Louisiana Lafayette Ragin Cajuns, the Czar of the Playbook, Emory Hunt. Emory, thank you for being here this morning.
Appreciate you having me, man.
No, thank you, man. It's a beautiful day here, beautiful spring day here in New Jersey. And I just wanted to bring you on today because you're the overnight success story that takes 10 years, right? and that's what we like to celebrate here on LongShots, right? So I love to talk to people that, you know, have the undying spirit of pursuing what their dreams, their goals. Now, I know from a young age, football was your life, you know. But really, what I love to talk to people about is like people that are in love with life, you know, like that like all the goals, the success, the dreams, all that stuff. But it's the importance of living, right? The time spent while here, right? And we're gonna have to be here. Like, how do you want to pass the time, right? And you do what you love, right? So you're a running back for Lafayette, and you don't go to the NFL, but you find a way to make football your life, right? And I applaud you for that. So welcome.
Appreciate you having me. I'm glad to be on the show. It is unique, man. Just to find something you love doing and just make that your vocation,
Right.
You know, and it starts early, and you learn early what you really love, what you love. Now you have other interests, things that you are excited about, but you find what you truly love. And I found what I loved early, and that never left me.
Who's your team?
Growing up, I was a diehard Saints fan. Now,
Okay.
obviously, in the media, I can't be, you know, so
Yeah.
I'm impartial. I just like being right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I know. So I looked up your record. You're like 132-11.
That was one year. I'm always consistently good.
Okay.
So yeah,
All right.
that was the 1 year. I'm always just, my whole thing now as a media member, just being right on what I predict. Right?
Okay.
Being close to being right.
Are you allowed to like gamble and stuff? Like, how's that work?
We I guess you can. I don't know. I don't
was just
gamble.
curious. Yeah.
I just, 'cause
All right, yeah.
I think when you start to gamble in this industry,
You're cooked.
well, you're cooked, but you also lose. Now you have an emotional attachment.
Uh-huh.
So now you're not giving true analysis. You're
Yep.
kind of hoping and projecting this guy does this because it helps your, you know.
Yeah.
So to avoid
Right.
that, I don't bet. So that way I can stay neutral.
Right.
College wise, LSU was our biggest rival. So I just root for my alma mater. But growing up, I was a diehard Saints fan. We didn't have a baseball team in New Orleans, but I was it's funny because we used to get, remember TBS and WGN. So you got a lot of Braves and Cubs games, but we also got a lot of Marlin games. So I'm a big Marlins fan.
All right.
And we didn't have a basketball team growing up, but we got a lot of Bulls and Hawks games, but we also got a lot of Miami Heat games. So since '89, when the Heat came out, I've been a Miami Heat fan.
All right.
So
But now they got the Pelicans, right?
now they got the Pelicans. I don't have that same attachment to the Pelicans like I do the Heat.
Yeah.
So I'm still a Miami Heat fan, and I'm still a Marlins fan. Even though in high school we got a minor league baseball team, the New Orleans Zephyrs.
Oh.
I think they came from Denver, and they came, and I forgot which
What
affiliate.
organization? Okay.
I forget. I think it was the Rockies.
All right.
And so then they moved back. So but I was a Marlins, Heat, and Saints fan growing up. And in college, I just loved. To be honest, I root for my alma mater now, but growing up, I was a big Georgia Bulldog fan because I loved Herschel Walker.
Of course.
I love Rodney Hampton.
Oh,
I loved all Georgia
Rodney
running
Hampton,
backs.
man.
But Herschel Walker was the guy I truly wanted to be like in terms of like running the football because I was just a big Herschel Walker fan.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah, obviously, I'm impartial to Rodney Hampton, being a New York Giants fan. That's crazy. That same draft, Giants could have taken him or Emmitt Smith.
It's always funny when you look at it and you look at who they pick and before and after, who was right there, and you try to think of the reason of what happened.
Yeah, well, it's just the offensive line, I think, is the difference there. They're both phenomenal running backs. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when you were coming out of New Orleans and you're a diehard football, was there a time like during high school or when things started to get like a little more competitive where you realized that you might not go beyond college and that you were going to make this your life either way, whatever happened, football's going to be life, sports is going to be life. What did you start to do then?
In high school,
Yeah.
high school, you kind of have ego. You kind of
Mhm.
think you're gonna go far,
Yeah.
right? But it's weird, and I'll say this, and then I'll put a pin in it because it comes back full circle.
Okay.
But I remember uh, not really thinking of the NFL. My biggest thing, I wanted to be on a college football video game
Yeah.
because I was like,
All
oh
right.
man, this is cool. I want to be able to, play myself on the video game,
Yeah.
yada yada yada. So I put a pin in that, right? So I just wanted to play college ball,
Yeah.
but and then the neighborhood I grew up in, we were all super competitive, in terms of like the neighborhood kids
Mhm.
and friends, right? So it was about 8 of us that went and played Division I ball in different sports, like some of us
Oh
football,
shit.
some basketball, some track and field, and one went to the NBA.
Okay.
And he could have been a phenomenal safety if he wanted to. Like he was a great athlete.
I always find that amazing, right? Like
Hmm.
you find out we were just talking about Kyler Murray, right? He
Right.
was like they were talking about him going to play baseball if he didn't land with the team that he wanted. He's like, maybe I'll just go play for the A's. They drafted me.
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
crazy how and you don't think of that growing up. You think of like we just outside playing sports,
Mm-hmm.
and the hyper competitiveness and the talent that we just didn't know. We just thought these are just guys. We just neighborhood kids,
Mm-hmm.
just like hanging out playing ball. But that really sharpened. You really had to compete every day, whether football in the morning or we playing basketball by the evening. You know what I'm saying? If we was lucky enough to find a tennis ball, now we're playing baseball with the tennis ball because we hit a baseball and break somebody's. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it was that type of environment, and so you just thought like, okay, these guys. Now when you get to the competitive level at high school, you've been trained by your neighborhood to where this is easy. Now we got
That's funny.
guidelines and rules. I don't have to worry about not running into a car or
Yeah.
getting hit by you know what I'm saying, or falling on the concrete.
Yeah.
Now you don't realize
Now
it was
you're
an
in
innate
pads,
skill.
yeah.
Exactly, your pads,
Yeah.
grass.
So
Like
this is easy
this
almost.
is super easy.
Uh-huh.
Like this is like
Yeah.
there's no stress. I can.
Right.
There's blockers.
Yeah.
Like it's not one guy versus 15 trying to make guys miss.
Right.
And so
Right.
all of those innate skills helped you in high school, and then you competitive, and so I'm still not thinking of like the NFL.
Right.
It's so I knew I wanted to do sports for a living. I
Mhm.
didn't. I thought I wanted to do.
There was nothing else. It was just
It was nothing. It was sports. Yeah. Also, I wanted to make commercials.
okay.
I thought commercials were I wanted to make funny commercials because we used to do commercials in high school.
Right.
Where
Creatively, or you wanted to act?
both.
Okay.
So you could do both.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in an era where you saw In Living Color, when you saw the Wayans brothers
Yep.
do multiple things. You saw I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. You saw Keenan Ivory Wayans direct and act. And it's
Yep.
like, oh, you could do that. And so, acting. We used to do this for the school newspaper,
Mhm.
create the commercials, and they were just hilarious. And just like, oh, this is what I want to do too. And I remember,
man.
so my minor,
That's so much fun.
my minor was theater in college.
Okay.
So I ended up and my major was communications.
Do you
But
still try to act ever?
This industry is acting.
Okay,
Like,
that's true.
You know what I'm saying? So
That's true.
the one thing about
That is a background that is
that's
yes.
valuable, and I didn't
Yes.
see it then because when I was in college, I took theater as the minor because I wanted easier courses.
Mhm.
Because of the football schedule. I was like, all right, this is
Right.
gonna be easy.
Right.
Because
Right.
everybody that was taking communications was taking English,
Mhm.
but unbeknownst to me, taking acting along with communications was ideal because now you're getting more time to talk, to speak, to perform,
Absolutely.
how to everything fits in now what we do today. High school, I went to it's another full circle moment. It's crazy how life, when you say it, because I always say like I love living,
Mhm.
and it's crazy how life works. So
Right.
my senior year in high school, typical high school kid. I'm dragging my feet on this assignment we had to interview somebody that you want in a vocation you want to be in. So I'm like, all right, I'm waiting. Then I was like, I do want to, work in TV, like sports, right? So now we're down like 2 days before the assignment due. Now I'm like, all right, I got to do this assignment. So I drive down to the local CBS station. It's WWL. And again, this is 1998. So I park in front of the place. I walk in. Obviously, nowadays, there's like multiple
I know, but
security. But you park in front,
Yeah.
walk in, like, hey, I want to interview somebody. And they was like, did you have an appointment? Like, appointment? I thought she's like, well, some people are not here. I'm like, I didn't know, how TV works. She's like, well, let me call somebody upstairs and see who's upstairs. They come down and talk to you. And so she interviews, she brings down Jim Baskell, who I interview, and I tell him what I want to do. And, he knew who I was because of the high school football thing.
Sure.
And so we're talking. I was like, I want to do what you do. Fast forward, bro, to 2023. I'm with CBS Sports HQ now. And I'm getting ready we getting on a segment to talk about NFL or whatnot. And they tell me, oh, your hosts are going to be Boom and Jim Baskell. I'm like, get out of here.
No way.
So I hadn't seen him or talked to him in 25 years.
So at that point, did you start to build a relationship with him? And you guys?
No, it was just like, I just needed to assignment done, one
thing?
interview. And boom. And because, I was just thankful he came down to talk to me.
Yeah, for sure.
It was my fault for being late, dragging my feet.
Yeah.
But we were, when we got on camera together, we were just talking and just like before we went live, and everyone was like, man, how the hell y'all know each other? It was like, man, I interviewed him and he was a fantastic tailback, and I was like, this crazy how me just rushing to do an assignment in 98.
I love
2023. I'm sitting right in front of the guy.
Man.
It's crazy. So
what's
me and
meant
Jim
for me never misses me.
Never. And so I always was appreciative of Jim. I watched his career boom and blossom, because at the time he was just he was the local New Orleans guy. And then to see him, be a big guy on ESPN and all these networks, I'm like, dang, that's pretty cool. He was one local reporter that took time, and now I'm working with him. It's crazy.
That's incredible. Wow. So, wow, that's a great story. So, but while you're in high school and you're playing football with everybody, is there a part like when the coach is coaching, but you're pulling the guy aside and being like, yo, well, what if you do this and what if you do that? Like I've seen you do this. Like, are you a coach at the same time as being a player?
We were all, that's the Czar, the Playbook name that kind of stuck, right? This was true story, I tell you no lie. Me and my good friend to this day, Cornell Hunter, we were both tailbacks, right? And so we were in the backfield at the same time. And we used to always identify talent. And like, man, if we just put this dude here, like he'd be better as a slot receiver as opposed to being a tight end. That way we can get this guy who's going to be a good tight end at tight end. And now we got more weapons on the field. So we used to always draw up plays and bring him to coach, like, go sit down, and whatever. Yeah. And then, so my senior year, we draw up this play where it's like, coach, we could use this in on 2-point conversions. And it's automatic. We 3 receivers to one side, put one, I go in motion. These 3 guys run slants. I'm running out in the flat. I'm catch the ball in the one, fall in the end zone. So we ran that play like 8 times, scored on all 8, and during the season. So he knew it though, and then it was just funny because he was just like, yo, how crazy was that? We was bull BS in that practice. Yeah. And I dropped this play like, because it's a natural pick play. And so we use it. I scored damn near 8 times on it every time we ran it. And so it was just funny. And that kind of like, man, I could do this. I could coach. And then after college, I ended up going back to my old high school and coaching for that year before.
Yeah. And we'll get to that. Yeah, that was, I'm sure that was a full circle moment for you.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So at that young age, what was the guy's name again that
Cornell Hunter. My teammate.
No, you're
Jim Baskell.
Jim Baskell. Okay, so then did he become a mentor? Somebody that you followed along? Like, did you?
No, because I'm telling you, once it was that
Once it
was
was
the
over,
assignment.
it was over. Okay.
It was okay. I got this assignment done. Now my mind is on something else. Like that's how it was. I just need to get this done.
So then the idea of broadcasting, being an analyst, had never even come into your thought at that point.
You like one guy that I used to admire, and I kind of see a little bit of him in my game in my role now as an analyst. I kind of mirrored my style after him because I watched so much of it. It's Tom Jackson. Tom Jackson was ideal on NFL primetime.
Yeah.
He was articulate.
Yep.
He made his
Him and
points.
Berman were the best.
They were the best. And he got his points across. He broke down film in a succinct. There are times now at CBS where they're like, Emory, you can go a little bit longer if you want to. Like, well, if I made my point, if I say what I need to say, there's no need for me to just drag on. But I get for TV, sometimes you got to have certain time.
For sure.
But I got that from Tom Jackson. Just watching him perform and get his points, get in and out of his points, and boom. So that's the one guy I used to always watch a lot of. And like, man, if I ever got the chance to do this for a living, I kind of want to be like Tom Jackson.
That's incredible. It's a different game out there now.
Yeah.
Now
it's about, I still fit in today's era because it's about personality too.
Yeah.
And it's about infotainment, but infotainment done right can be effective, you know. So I can do both. I can dance in both lanes, but Tom Jackson was the model for me to watch.
It's great.
There's little pieces of it. There's a model for that, and one guy that I full circle on who I work with now that I used to admire and watch growing up, Charles Davis. I love the historic element that Charles Davis used to add to his. When he first started, he was Jefferson Pilot Sports on the sideline. I remember watching that and then seeing, how he always added a historical element. I'm a big history buff.
Okay.
And whether it's sports or anything, I try to loop the future with the past tense. You know what I'm saying? Looking for patterns.
People love that shit.
And so you add that in, and that's where Charles Davis used to do the same thing. And then the excitement of the game, Tim Brando, because Jefferson Pilot Sports was big down there. Maybe it's Raycom Sports up here, but it was Jefferson Pilot Sports. Now it's no longer. They all fizzled out. They were like Jefferson Pilot used to be
just like small little networks.
Yeah, smaller regional network. Jefferson Pilot, smaller regional networks. Sometimes you may see Raycom. They were the same company.
Okay.
And so Jefferson Pilot used to have the SEC.
Okay.
And so we used to get all those games, and I used to hear Tim Brando, and every excitement of his call was like, man, this makes college football fun.
Yeah.
You want to be a part of that because he's calling the game. Keith Jackson, all those guys, they add that element. Pat Summerall adds that element. And then the analyst, John Maddens, Dave Rowe, who used to work with Tim Brando, and then you had Charles Davis, a part of that three-man group, and you get the analyst side and the storytelling side, and you're like, man, I want to do this. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but this is what I want to do.
Wow.
So it's those guys that were very integral in my mind of the stuff I watched and how I formulated my own style using all of those guys as the blueprint.
That's great because that leads me into my next question of you playing at Louisiana Lafayette. Tell us a little bit about your career, and then at what point does it start to think about like life after the pads?
It happened pretty quickly because my career got cut short going into my redshirt freshman year.
Okay.
I had a serious knee injury, tore 3 ligaments, and my career was done. So now, when you've built your whole identity as a football player,
right?
Now you're thinking like, well, damn, what am I? How can I manage? And so you go through this whole, I don't know what to do in terms of all I've known is being a football player.
Yep.
And so now, great thing I had phenomenal coaches in college. Coach Jerry Baldwin, the head football coach, were outstanding. Kerry Bailey was outstanding. Tyke Tolbert, outstanding. Troy Wingard, outstanding. And all they just stayed to poured into me and kept me around. So I was doing a little bit of everything. I had to help with recruiting, had to still work out, still be a part of the team. Cameras, equipment room, everything, just be around. And so it was that point that helped save me from super depression.
Mhm.
Because when you lose something that you identify with, you get lost. That's why I understand
Yeah.
how players that retire and they struggle with that.
For sure.
So, but I had to deal with that early. So now you still in great physical shape, but you can't play.
You can't do what you
You
want
can't
to.
do it. So now,
Yeah.
so I found myself talking to teammates like, as they're going through the dog days of like, man, I don't want to do this, and it's like, bro, I wish I had one more practice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so don't. All of this gonna be going at some point. So don't give up right now. But so that kind of, what else can I do? How can I, so that got me back involved of, you know, wanting to be an analyst and wanting to see the game from. I learned more about football not playing than I did when I was a player because I was so into it. And
Yeah.
you're so locked into your
Focus
position. On your job,
On
your
your
role.
role.
You zoom
Yep.
out a little bit, like, oh wow, now this all conceptually makes sense. Now we get back to what I put a pin in earlier, me wanting to be on a video game. Funny how, I learned then you got to dream bigger.
Right.
Like, so NCAA 2001 comes out, and I'm on the game. Career over. So like, damn, I should have dreamt bigger. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Wow.
I should have dreamt bigger.
Yeah.
But I accomplished it. I like, this is pretty cool. I still,
Yeah.
like, this is awesome. Somebody that created a game had to take time to create me.
Amazing.
So, but at that time, I was like, yeah, fate would have it. I got what I wanted. And
then it was
over.
And then it was over.
It was over. Like, because I should have dreamt bigger. You know what I'm saying? But you learn more about the game. You learn more about, the processes and what make things work. And so you sitting around, you seeing everything conceptually, and you just like, so now I'm still diving into film. When we in the dorms, we like, hey man, like we played so and so this week, and every time this guy lines up here, or anytime they do this, like this, they're gonna run this. Like, I guarantee you, I've seen. So I became like the Czar, the Playbook then too.
Yeah.
Like just drawing up stuff and then watching film on our opponents and game planning and just like.
So when that played out, that had to definitely produced a feeling for you, right?
It was just like because I've seen it over and over again, and it's a philosophical thing about human behavior. We are creatures of habit, and we tend to do the same things all the time.
Yeah.
So what you do best, you're gonna do consistently. So when you see something on film or you see somebody do some stuff, you're like, oh, I'm gonna say this, and here's how it's gonna play out. And people are like, you crazy, and then it plays out exactly because you understand human activity and human behavior, and that all applies into film and so the game. So you kind of can anticipate, you could predict. Now I wish I had all that when I was a player.
Yeah.
But you don't know that when you're in it because you're so hyper focused on your position, your role.
Sure.
But you understand how people move and what people will do when pressed, what people will do in critical situations or tense situations. And that's why it's always funny when people say, well, if I was there, I would, like, you wouldn't have done anything because human nature is to freeze. You know what I'm saying? Like so I became more, locked into on human behavior and using that to funnel football predictions and activities and stuff like that. So that's how that kind of manifested itself as becoming the Czar, the Playbook. That's
incredible. So then right then and there, you knew, you're like, I got to find a way to like make this because what year do you wrap up? It's like
2000.
2000. You're done with college in 2000?
Oh,
no.
College.
No, you're done with
football in 2000.
You're done with football in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
You don't start the game plan until 2007?
2007, yeah.
Yeah.
I graduated college in spring of 03.
Okay.
So
and then in between there's you graduate. When you graduate, do you go right into coaching high school?
Yeah, because here's the thing. When you I remember in the communication classes, we used to have people from the local TV station come in and talk to us. And so I knew then I didn't want to do local TV because you could just close your eyes and everybody sound the same.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. So it felt kind of boring. And as a creative person, I can't do
You
the
need
same
more
thing
than
every
that.
day. I need
Yeah.
stimulation, right? Funny enough, though, the local sports analyst, I forget his name, but he had a real unique voice.
Mhm.
And, I was like, obviously he's interviewing players after the game. And so we see him he's a sportscaster, right? But he ends up, I remember one time, this was like 20, maybe 15 or 16, you're watching TV and you see these discount double check commercials.
Uh-huh.
He was one of the first guys on there with Aaron Rodgers as the State Farm guy. It was like, yo, that's so everybody in the group chat like, man, look,
that's
look,
so
look.
funny.
So it was like he kind of became this thing.
That's
But
cool.
I didn't want to do local TV.
Yeah.
And then once I graduated, it was like, all right, so apply for jobs. And so while you're applying for jobs, it was, you get all these no's. So my coach was like, high school coach, like, you can come coach here. I was like, well, I applied for this head football coach job in this high school in New Orleans. And what was crazy about that situation was I get through the interviews. I'm now on my third interview with this high school as to be a head football coach at 22 years old. And when I went in, I had my playbook ready to go that I've been working on
For years.
because college I got
Yeah.
and I got a plan how we gonna have success, how we gonna win, and I thought I had it. The principal was a University of Louisiana grad. I'm like,
Okay.
this is in the bag for
Yeah.
me. So she said, we'll let you know by Friday, before 5. So now I'm at my house. I'm playing NCAA Game Breaker. I remember this vividly. All day, everybody calling, and this is back when you had to answer the phone. You had call ID. You like, I don't recognize.
Yep.
Hello. Hey, did they call you? Man, you click. You like you blow them. All my coaches called. They sent me like. By this time, some of my coaches the coaches that brought me in got fired, and some are still there, but some are coaching elsewhere. So I had all these recommendation letters from Arizona Cardinals, from Middle Tennessee. So my presentation was fantastic. It was like, yo, this guy is really put together. But everybody's calling like 4:30. I get a call from the school. It's like, yeah, we're gonna go with someone with a little bit more experience. We love you. We want you to be part of the staff. And I was like, I don't know if I could work for the guy that you just hired over me. And so by this time, my high school coach had called and was like, yo, won't you come coach over here then? I'm like, cool. Fate would have it. I get there. I'm the coach. I'm the running backs coach and special teams coordinator. And we played at school first game of the season. And now we blow them out. Run game was popping and had 2 block punts. And so now I talked
everything
that you
presented to them.
Boom, was working. And so I talked to the principal, we wish we could have you. I'm like, so I'm coaching here at my old high school, which was unique in the sense because now kids that were, I think, because the high school I went to, Eleanor McMain High School, was from 7th to 12th grade. So when I got back in 03, students that were there as 8th graders or 9th graders either played with me or knew about me. And now my picture is on the wall of fame. So it's like, so I come back and it's like, so I'm coaching these kids now that are seniors that knew me when I was the guy. And so it's like, so they kind of helped me, and I'm still young enough to where
they can relate.
Yep. I was substitute teaching there too, so I could relate and talk to them and kind of steer them in the right direction. So it was kind of cool to give back in that sense. And then I loved it. And I was, ready for the second season. Then I coached softball too that spring. I learned, first of all, I'll say this, coaching girls is greater than coaching boys because girls listen. Girls, if you tell a girl, I want this to be run at a 45-degree angle, she will run this at a 45-degree angle. Not 44, not 45 and a half, 40. A dude will be like, I'm nice. I can get this at 38 degrees. Like, no, like run. But women will, because they want to learn. They want to know technique. They want to know everything. And so coaching softball really showed me the value of how much you need to listen if you want to get better, because they were listening to everything. And so
way more rewarding.
Way more rewarding. It was like, dang, she really did. And then the joy of them coming back and be like, oh, you say when I did, and it's like it worked. You see the eyes light up.
Yep.
And so by this time, everybody's telling me like, man, once you get a real job, you gotta. Why you coaching there? I wasn't making no real money, but I enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I applied. I interviewed for this recruiting job at this local
like staffing agency?
Like a medical. It was you know how they have Lincoln Tech?
Yeah.
So here in New Orleans, there was a school called Ragin College, which was a part of Corinthian colleges, which had an automotive side, which I didn't know about. It was called Wyotech. So we'll get to that in a second. But at the time in New Orleans was Ragin College, it was an allied health school. So medical assistants, dental assistants, stuff like that. So I was like, all right, cool. So the funny part was the interview was a group interview. And so it's like 30 people in there. And these are like older people. I'm 23 now.
Yeah.
I'm in there and people like 35, 36, and it's like 40, 50s. And I'm like, man, I done been told no so often. So I was like, this job interview, I'm gonna just be honest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because bump it.
Yeah.
So we had to give a presentation about nothing. And I'm in there just talking and like giving my thing. I think I told them about the value of like tying your shoe. Right. And then gave but I didn't realize everybody was scared to talk. Public speaking, people would rather jump out of buildings than to speak in front of people.
You've already been doing this with theater.
And I'm like, yo, this is so naturally I get the job. And the guy was like, yo, the guy that hired me he passed away. Rest in peace, Doug Lockwood. I was like, so I come back for the second interview. And he was like, I was like, man, he's like, first of all, you was energetic. He said, I like the story you told. He said, I knew it was bullshit. He said, but he said, but everybody else was scared. He's like, and so now we're talking about salary and stuff. He was like, so he said, well, so what's your salary requirements? I was like, $2 million. He was like, what? Like, bro, if I figure I start off high, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what y'all working with. Like, so if I said 20 grand, you would have gave it to me. So he laughed. So he's showing me around. And now he ends up giving me the job, right? And so I start there, and I'm thinking like, dang, this is pretty cool. I got a big boy job. I got to wear a shirt and tie,
right?
Slacks, and it was fascinating because I got a laptop, and I could download BearShare and download music. So for those out there, BearShare, you gotta do your Googles. That was a bit. That's like Napster.
Yeah.
Damn. So we were
LimeWire.
Right. Yep. LimeWire, exactly.
Yeah.
So so I was supposed to go around to all the high schools in the New Orleans area. So that puts me from New Orleans to like slightly across the border in Mississippi to just before Baton Rouge. So I had a nice little area. But because I was so entrenched in New Orleans, I knew all the principals, all the counselors. I knew how to get into these schools. And I'm young enough to where I can speak directly to the student population.
Sure.
And I can relate. And so, I'm just like, all right, I'll do that. But still not understanding the gravity of having a big boy job. I'm coming to work every day as a recruiter, sitting from 9 to maybe I have a visit here, a visit there. And like 5 months into it, 6 months into it, the guy that hired me, Doug, comes in. He was like, hey, man, you see where you at on this list? And it had over 120
people doing the same job you do.
In the recruiters, in the company, across the country. I'm like 120. I'm like dead last. I was like, oh, I didn't know y'all keep so I said, consider it done. I'll be number one next year. I was number one the next year.
No kidding.
So that whole year of 04, I'm going to high schools. I'm using all my connections. I'm speaking to thousands and thousands of high school people, bringing them into school, getting them signed up, recruited. So it was.
That's all I wanted you to do. Right?
That's all I needed was to know y'all keeping score, and now competitive nature gonna kick in.
Right.
So during that time, even though I'm killing it as a recruiter, it's a field that I'm not familiar with, right? But I understand the value of education. That was my, that was my kick. Oh, like, school is important. Education is important, even though I don't know anything about the product.
Right.
But I during that time the football bug was biting me, so I'm
Right.
applying for coaching jobs. Even on our lunch break, I'm sitting in the break room drawing up plays, and so people that say like, "Man, you really love this football stuff." I'm like, "Man, it's just it." So I'm applying for jobs at colleges. I get 3 offers.
Mhm.
One in Tennessee, not the University of Tennessee. One is a small school in Tennessee. One was a small school in Nebraska, and one was a small school in Kentucky. So I'm mulling these. By this time, I'm number one, and I'm ready to leave because I'm heavy in these interviews.
Mhm.
And so I get to the company awards. The company awards that year was in San Diego, and it was like, all right, I'm gonna go get the free trip, get the big trophy, and then once I come back, I'm gonna leave. So I go out there, and the people from the Tech side are talking to me. It's like, man, we like what you do. Why don't you come over to the automotive side and blah blah blah. I'm like, hey, I'll think about it when I get back.
Mhm.
Knowing damn well I was gonna take one of these coaching jobs and bounce.
Yeah.
I get back to New Orleans, and a month later, Katrina hit. So now I'm scrambling. I'm like, all right, do I take this job? I don't know nothing about the area, or do I go for security? With the company I'm with,
Right.
call a Biotech guy side up. He was like, hey, we got 2 opportunities, New York City area or Southwest Missouri. I didn't even know where Missouri was. So I'm like, bro, I'm a city dude. I'm going up to New York City. And
Okay.
boom.
That's why you're up here.
That's why I'm up here. And that's
Okay.
how, but again, the work in progress of being where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to do, had I not taken heed to where I was on the rankings,
Mhm.
I wouldn't have been number one to get to San Diego, to meet the dude from Biotech, to get up here.
That's again, what's meant for me never misses me, right? So like the plan, I can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I often have ideas about how my life should go, and I think that's important, especially about, what we like to talk about on here is being able to adjust with life and not being able to like lose sight of really what you want to do. Because as I went through some troubled times and where I kind of stepped away from my professional life,
Mm-hmm.
I still tried to stay in the game, like interviewing, talking to people, right? So like now you're in New York City, you're working for a company. Are you like where's your mindset? Are you like mourning your dream of football, or are you just still like it's still just like a little bit out of reach? Like is there like a little gray area where you're like, I still know that's gonna be my life. I'm not gonna completely commit to this other career path.
It's still deep down inside you. You don't know how you're gonna get there,
Mhm.
but you know it's still there because when I got up here and I'm getting adjusted to this area, right? When I first moved up here, I thought everybody sounded like DMX. You know what I'm saying? It's just what you see on TV. I thought it was gonna snow every day.
Right.
I thought it was gonna be cold. And if you get lost up here, it costs you money. I didn't realize the tolls were. I remember the first time I got up here, and it was I wanted to go explore New York City. I just saw Hitch. It just came out, and I
Okay.
was like, oh, okay, I want an apartment like that.
Yeah.
So I go in the city, and first I get through one toll, and it was like $1. I'm like, all right, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because in the New Orleans, to cross the Mississippi River Bridge, it was $1, and we used to go the back way to avoid paying the $1. I get to the Lincoln
Right.
Tunnel. I'm like, it was like $5. I'm like,
Yeah.
$5. I was like,
Yeah.
is there an event going on in New York?
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
president, like what you mean $5 to cross so $5 now would be a joy. It's
I
not
know.
like $25,
I know.
right?
I know.
So I was like, damn. So I while I'm up here getting acclimated to New York City, New Jersey, and I'm killing it as a recruiter. Because again, the same rules applied in New Orleans apply up here.
Mhm.
I can go and talk to the kids in the inner city. I can go talk to kids, in these metro areas. I can go talk to kids in these rural areas because
Right.
I can relate to people.
Right.
But I'm still applying for football jobs. I applied for 2 head coaching jobs here in Jersey.
Oh, all right.
Got an interview with one high school. Got down to the wire once again, and the lady was like, "Well, I kind of want to go with someone I know. You interview well. I love the plan." I'm like,
Right.
here I have coaching experience now, and a documented and more resources of people that I'm giving me these recommendation letters of famous letterheads like. And she went with somebody that. So this time, this is '06. And so I'm like, whatever, I'll figure something out. So what really got me to pull, so I'm talking with these kids in high school about following your passion. And I'm big on passion.
Hmm.
I don't care what it is.
This
If
is
you're
before, this is '06, right?
'06, so
Okay.
if you are passionate about something, I could tell, and I'm all in with you.
Hmm.
So whether it's someone on the side, the street playing the drums, or and growing up in New Orleans, you see a lot of that, right? You see the tap dancers on the sidewalk,
Hmm.
put the bottle caps on the bottom of the shoes, but they making guys playing music, and you just like, man, this dude really passionate about his. I'm talking to these kids that I don't know jack about cars, but
Right.
they super passionate about. At the time, Pimp My Ride was a big show. So they're
Yeah.
like, super, I want to create this. I want to do that. I just want to work on cars. I want to work on speed bikes. And I'm like, man, these kids, like, I wish there was an option for me being this passionate about whatever it was that I can go to school specifically for that, right?
Right.
So I was all in on recruiting, and I was
Hmm.
I was still top in the company. I'm winning awards after awards, right?
Hmm.
But in '06, I'm like, I felt it. I was like, I'm talking to these kids about passion, and it's really getting on me. And so we're really
It's funny, man, because I had that same exact experience. Like not too long ago, I'd probably say a couple months ago. As I told you, I work in I work in a restaurant, and I've talked to the bus boys, right? And I talked to them about like how they should care about like the littlest things in everything they do, because how you
right.
do one thing is how you do everything, right? So like you should care. You should be want to be good at your job. As that'll take you, you know. And then I noticed, like, as I was saying that, there were some areas of my life where I wasn't living that, right? Like I wasn't like this, for example. I could be better at this, and I
Mhm.
realized that like I needed to be like more prepared, and I needed to be um, maybe a little more rehearsed, and kind of like just give more to this, and care about it more than just, because when I started this company, it was similar to like what you were just talking about. I went on a job interview, and I came down to I was like last candidate,
Mhm.
didn't get the job. It was between me and someone else, right? Didn't get it. Like 3 months later, that same company brought me back, and I was me and somebody else, and they took somebody else, and I was like, this is never gonna happen to me again. You know what I mean? Like, so I
Mhm.
started. I was like, I'm gonna start my own company. I'm gonna work at the restaurant, and I'm gonna see how I can do this. You know what I mean? And then I started to notice that I was getting comfortable in one area and not focusing more on the other. And so that's kind of where you're at right now, right? When
Mhm.
you're like where we just left off, you're killing it at Allied, but there's something else calling you.
Something else called because everybody what was eating at me was because again I am still young at this time. I'm now 24, going on 25.
Mhm.
I'm still in peak physical condition. I look like a current athlete. There was
Right.
so many times I walk into a high school where they think I'm a student athlete,
Mhm.
and I'm like, nah, I'm actually 24, 25 years old.
Mhm.
So '06 was the turning point because at this time I'm talking ball with my homeboy on the phone, and this was the '06 draft, and we just watched the greatest college football game ever, USC Texas.
Mhm.
Just watched Vince Young do amazing things,
Right.
and all we heard after watching the greatest college football game ever was that this dude can't make it in the NFL. I was like, yo, this is some BS, bro.
That's
Like,
crazy,
we just
right?
watched this dude dominate
Yeah.
USC and did it over the course of the year. Like, man, so we hear watching TV, watching the sports TV stations, and hearing these debates, and just like, bro, this don't make sense. This is just it's what they're saying doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
And instead of us like, bro, we need to come up with our own place where we could talk ball to where it makes sense. So either we talk about it or we just continue to argue. Either we do it or we just continue to argue about it. Because
Mhm.
I got to get these football takes out. Because everybody used to ask me why you don't talk football. Because after I'm doing with this the speaking at the schools, all the guys want to hang around and talk football
Right.
and ask you about football stuff.
Right.
Because they found out you play ball. So it's like, man, I got to get this. So we're gonna start a website. So we spent the latter part of '06 going into '07
Mhm.
game planning, pun intended, drawing stuff up, how we want to attack the site, how we want our site to be. And we'll start it in 07. And, you know, it's funny, the biggest sticking point was, because we used to hate this. You know, there's so much good football out there. You know, I played with some guys that ended up in the NFL,
right?
Ended up in the CFL, ended up at the time at the Arena Football League when the Arena League was making six figures.
Yep.
So I knew there was more talent out there, and you know, and also I remember it was my sophomore year we played Sam Houston. That year we lost to all of our 1AA schools or FCS schools.
Right.
One being Sam Houston because his quarterback was out there like Vanilla Vic. It ended up being Josh McCown. So I knew even at these smaller school levels, there's talent everywhere. So the whole sticking point was when we're having these conference calls with our group chats, like we should just cover the NFL. We should just cover the NFL draft. Major college, like, no, bro, we need to cover everything. It's like, because if we look around, everybody's talking about NFL and major college football. Right. No one's talking about all this shit.
Right.
Let's do it all.
Yeah.
And so
D2, D3.
Everything. Yep. Women's tackle football.
Yep.
Arena. At the time, NFL Europe, we gonna do it all.
Nice.
And it was like, you sure? Like, I don't know. I know about it. Like, y'all can focus on the NFL draft. Let me just handle everything else, right? And I also contribute to the NFL draft, NFL. And so, August 2007, football game plan was born.
That's great.
All from being so angry at the conversations in 06 about something that was clear. And this dude goes on to win Rookie of the Year.
Right.
And has a winning record. As if it wasn't for his head coach, he would have had a long career, successful, because he was successful as a rookie, 31-19 as a 31-17 as a starting quarterback. So we knew he could play. Mm-hmm. So it was like, so we were right in our assessment that they were wrong. But imagine if our voice wasn't out there to have this counter point of view, then people just run with the BS.
And you guys started on YouTube, right?
We started as a website.
Okay.
In 07. And then in 08, I realized now we had a lot of success. Now, the first part of our success in 07, because we hit the ground like gangbusters.
Right, yeah.
The first article we dropped, because we had a segment on the site called Offsides, where it was just for us to get these jokes off.
Right.
Right. So at the time, when we dropped, Michael Vick had a situation.
Yep.
And so it was like, hey, you know, since QB7 wants to fight dogs, here are a few of the dog fights we want to see. So we had tail of tape matchups like Droopy versus, you know, Pluto. And so we was ranking like dog fights, right?
That's funny.
It went viral. So now I brought people to the site, and then they're like, oh, wow, this place got there. So they clicking around, they checking all the articles.
Oh, wow.
And then in September, they see our game previews and predictions. We were the first place to predict, probably the only place to predict App State beat Michigan. We laid it out how it was going to happen.
No way.
Why it was going to happen.
That was crazy.
Big. That was boom.
Yeah.
So now our site shot up. At the time, I think Alexa was the website ranking. Our thing went from unranked.
Yeah.
It went from unranked to like, you know, in the top 300.
Yep.
So, because people was like, oh, man, so we was killing it. Then 08, I realized that I saw the vision. I was like, people are not reading as much. You know what I'm saying? People rather
just watch.
Yeah, it's like, so YouTube, everybody around us in the industry was still heavily article based. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, yo, my degree is in communications. We went right over to B&H in Manhattan.
Yeah.
But all this camera equipment, I knew what cameras to get, what mics to get, lav mics, everything, the big lights, all of that stuff, right? And had it set up in my apartment at the time with the blackout curtains. And I was like, yo, it gotta look. So we got all the mini helmets for the teams, college and pro. And I said, we gotta wear suits. Because if people gonna watch, we gotta look different. Yeah. Because nobody was on YouTube like that. And everybody that was just regular shirts and t-shirts. And so we gotta look. So
play the part.
In 09, we started YouTube when nobody was doing it, right?
Love
the trick about that was again, being observant, finding a lane and attacking it. It was no different than playing football. So it was like I hated watching a 4-hour pregame show on one of these networks. And let's say you're a Bengals fan, and you just watch 4 hours of pregame show. The last 30 seconds of the show, they what about the Bengals and Giants? Oh, the Giants win because the Bengals always lose on the road. And you're like, man, I just watched this whole show, and that's the analysis I get?
Yeah.
So we gave everybody equal time, 5 minutes of a full-fledged X's and O's, keys to victory breakdown. And then we knew of their team, of their matchup. And then we knew this was before Twitter was popping. So message boards were still a thing. So I'll take that Cincinnati Bengals video, go place it in the Cincinnati Bengals message board, however many message boards they were for Bengals fans. Boom. Now it's that circulating. You do that for every team. So now everybody's watching you. It's like, man, even though he's technically spamming our message board with this video, it's relevant to what we, and nobody, wow, at least they're talking about it again, and he's making sense. So it's like, now everybody used to post my videos on their main page of the message board, and we had partnerships to where I give the whole message boards a shout out at the end of the video just for allowing me to post my video there. So those numbers ran up. Think about it, we're doing this times 32, times 130 of college football teams, times having indoor forums they had in arena football, women's tackle. So we was all over the internet on video, booming. And then that's how my name started to get out, bubbling up, all of that stuff. Because again, we pivoted when we saw, people were not going to read; they would rather watch. So we was ahead of the curve. And in 2011, we did podcasting before people was doing podcasting. Right. So we had a 2-hour Saturday morning live call-in show on Blog Talk Radio at the time. And so we was combining that with video, and so we were killing it. So football game plan's presence was booming before people knew what podcasting and YouTube was.
So now, are you doing this on the side of
doing it on the side? We were because this is from 07 website.
Are you generating any revenue from any of this?
All of it. So we was killing it, right?
So you're making money.
Making money, and
so you have 2 income streams.
2 income. And so,
beautiful.
and it was what was dope about it was, it shows the grind and hustle, because I was a remote recruiter, I set my schedule. So I know high schools, you get into certain classes, class starts at 10. All right, cool. I know where it is. I can get to. So I was recording 30 something videos from like 5 to 6:30 in the morning. Go do my work, and then now with this automotive recruiting. For kids that were interested, I had to go to their house and sit with the parents, and so it was like football recruiting.
Oh, hell yeah!
So that was even dope. So now I'm in my zone. So you not smoozing, but you could command a room. Get the parents involved. Kids gonna go like boom. So but when I get back to my apartment, it's like
same energy.
9:30, 10 o'clock. Let me edit these videos I shot early in the morning, pump those out. I shot them too, so I didn't have to do much. It was like, because I knew what I had to say, got in, got out. All I had to do was just add a lower third.
Well, Tom Jackson,
boom,
make your point.
Make my points, 5 minutes, everything. So all of those traits came to fruition. So I'm killing it from 07 to 2012. And that's when things started to come to a head with the work and me.
And the dream.
And the dream.
So what was the moment?
The moment was I got fired. I had interviewed in 2010. I had interviewed for a managerial position at the company where I would be over a bunch of the recruiters. And by this time I have years of high-level success. I have a master's, I have all this stuff, right? I am an expert in the field. And the concern was, well, you might be too young to manage people that you work with that are older than you. So they brought in someone that didn't have a lick of degree or experience in the field or experience with this company.
Right.
So it was like, so now he's my boss. So I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like, all right, whatever. So I'm gonna do my thing, and everybody in the company knew about football game plan. Like they were buying merch and all that stuff. So everybody loved me, right? Except this dude, because he was. It's an ego thing for him because it was like, well, why is he so liked?
Yeah.
Like he's not. I'm like, but he's number one. You can't tell me anything about what I'm doing on the side.
Yeah.
Because it's not interfering with.
Sure.
So he's come right along with me. We go to high schools. Everybody likes me. You see my poster, my football game plan poster on the walls. And it's because I used to go in there, do my work, and y'all hang this up in the classroom. They don't mind hanging it up.
Yeah.
They think it's cool too that this guy's on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was like when they got Al Capone for tax evasion, right? So they created this new thing where we had to implement now. So any kid that signed, we faxed, for those that don't know, faxing. We had to fax in the paperwork to the school, to the campus. So now they created a system where you had an extra step. You fax the paperwork in, and then you have to go into the system and put in but it was duplicating the process because once you fax in, the people at the campus put the stuff in. So this stuff, which is fairly new, is not part of your routine.
Right.
You forget to do certain things, and you probably catch up at the
data entry.
Data entry, right? So he was like, hey, we got to put you on this performance plan. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'll figure it out. And so after a while, May 5th, 2012, they let me go. Cinco de Mayo. And he was like, yeah, we just, you didn't have enough progress. I'm like, I'm number one in the. So now going into that next school year, all these schools hit me up like, hey, are you not coming in? I'm like, nah, I don't know. Well, who's the person that's in charge of this? We haven't heard from this school. I'm like, that's not my problem. But that was the breakthrough I needed because all my stuff on YouTube was really good, but it was missing something else. And I was afraid to take that leap because I was comfortable in managing both. I was scratching that itch with football game plan, with the videos, getting my stuff out. I was doing great at my job. I'm cool now. And it's like, but this could be, because what was eating at me was the fact that I feel like I'm good, and I'm looking at what's on TV. I'm like, I'm better than that, but I'm comfortable. So but I'm better than this. But let me just focus. And so,
what was it? What was missing for you? Was it just the confidence thing?
No, it was. I always had confidence.
Right.
If the confidence goes all the way back, going into my senior year in high school, the local newspaper had us predicted to finish 9th in the district of 9 teams, and they were the line was, McMain loses. There's stud wide receiver Gilbert Okoronkwo, who ended up going to Rice University, and Sean Brown, who ended up going to the University of Louisiana Monroe. It's like they lose their 2 studs. This team is not going to be much of nothing. So this is early August and late July. So me and my homeboy Cornell, we were reading this paper. It was like, how they gonna predict us to finish last? Like, we on the team. Like, imagine that level of ego.
Yeah.
To be like, as long as they got us, we got to. And at this point, we only had like 16 dudes on the team because some guys got kicked out, and the head coach was scared that we weren't gonna have enough to. We was like, man, we just need bodies.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go around the school and just find people to get on the team. But as long as we are on the team, we're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Start the season, we go 8-0.
No
and
way.
like you got to 8-0 run. So again, the confidence of we finished a year in the playoffs. We lost, we finished the season 8-2 or 8-3 with a playoff loss. Predicted to finish 9th to going undefeated, ranked in the state, and just on the strength of I'm better than this dude and I can prove it. So that ego, fast forward now to 2012. Nah, I know I'm better than some of these people.
So where's the leap?
So I get fired. And now I have full time to devote to football game plan. I did not know that was what I needed. So now the jump
God does for us what we can't do for ourselves.
Right. And so the jump, from 2012 to 2013 was crazy in the level of production of the amount of videos, the style of videos, the production of the videos. I'm now able to do different things from a creative standpoint that I wasn't able to do because I didn't have to go travel to go and recruit. And so now my video quality is bananas. My suit game improved because I'm now dressed. I'm putting together,
Right.
And so it was that growth, right? So fast forward, but in 2014, I'm now feeling a slight burnout because I'm like, man, these videos look better than what's out there. I'm killing it. Like, man, what's going? My videos are crazy. My content is great because I'm right about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Case in point, 2012 draft, I had Russell Wilson as a first round graded quarterback when nobody gave him a chance because he was 5'10".
Mm-hmm.
Nobody even thought of him.
Come from Wisconsin, right?
Come from Wisconsin. So I gave them an A for their draft. I had a first round grade on Russell Wilson, and I said he's going to start and lead into the playoffs. All of that happened. And at that time, everybody was killing the Seahawks draft saying they got an F. So now Seahawks fans love me because I gave them and they had a great season. So now that video goes viral. Every year around draft time, that video pops up because people are like, man, he was like a soothsayer. So I'm fiending off that success. And I'm like, but why does this not care? Why does this not matter? And so 2014, I'm thinking about, man, am I spinning my wheels? Should I get back into the workforce? Like this just, I don't know. I don't, and my girlfriend at the time, who I'm still with, and she was like, why don't you go out to games? Like, nah, I don't want to, you got all these connections with coaches. She's like, I don't want to bother people. You know what I'm saying? I kind of just want to work on speak for. She's like, no, but it's about networking and this. I'm like, no, we want to get on. So I go out to a game at Yale. Yale was playing Cornell, and I was a big fan of the Cornell quarterback, Jeff Matthews, at the time. Great player. So I'm scouting him for the draft, and I'm like, I'm sitting there, and it's, the Yale Bowl, and it's me and a Falcon scout. And he was like, hey, man, he said, you're familiar. I was like, what you mean? He was like, you do the YouTube videos. I was like, dang, that's crazy. So he was like, yeah, we watch your draft grade stuff, and like, it's pretty cool. So now I make that connection.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interviewing this guy now. I'm talking about to this player in the scout. So I was like, yo, I'm in a great area. I can get to Boston, down to DC. So I'm going to all these different games, right? Just scouting, right? And so let me rewind a little bit. So after, before I go out to the Yale game, I get a call from this women's tackle football league, the Women's Football Alliance. And the guy was like, hey, man, I know you was doing these videos, the game previews. Because at the time I had scaled back on because I was trying to do what got a lot more views,
Sure.
right? He was like, I know we got a playoff game coming up. It's going to be on local TV. Can you do a preview for it on YouTube? I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem, man. Like, y'all always been good to me. I was like, wait a minute. It's going to be on local TV. Do y'all have analysts for the game yet? He's like, you know what? Let me call a producer and call you right back. So he calls back. He was like, no, they didn't. But I told him, like, you got to get Emory to do it because Emory is he knows women's tackle football.
Yeah.
So the producer calls me. We talk. They give me the role as a color analyst. It's in D.C. It's the D.C. Divas versus the Boston Renegades. And I treated that game like it was like the Super Bowl. So I get down there. I did all pregame work. I interviewed players. We interviewed coaches. I had never done a game before.
Wow.
And my play-by-play guy was Jeremy Huber, who he taught me how to do the games based on how he prepared, how great he is as a play-by-play guy. He still does stuff on NFL radio. So he said he was, he gave me, and all this is happening within 20 minutes before, kickoff. He's like, yeah, if you got from the end of the play to the huddle, and then give it back to me. Bro, we killed it. And killed it so much so that the producer was like, yo, that was great. And he said, you sure I've never done this before in my life. Like, and so he was like, oh, wow, that's cool. So he gave me a call the next day. It was like, I got this opportunity to call these high school All-American games in Towson. USA football. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Go down there. We did 3 games in a day. And then he called me again and was like, I just got a contract with Georgetown football. Would you be interested in doing college games? I'm like, bro, would I? So now I'm doing college games. I'm out scouting, and I'm doing my. And I'm like, this is a new element.
Damn.
That's
Where's
happening.
it? So did you have this moment now where you're just like filled with unbelievable
I'm like,
gratitude?
yo, this is
You're
pretty
this
cool.
is
like,
life.
I'm
How is this life right
right.
now? This is crazy.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, but I feel like people still
And you're paying your bills doing
paying
this.
my bills. And it was funny. This was in 2014, or 2013. So I hit up. You go to whole. Okay, let me just spam videos on LinkedIn, like cold call, cold email people. Email this person at this network. I was like, hey man, here's a reel. I put together some of the videos that, I'm thinking is sharp because again, I am now the expert in the YouTube space.
Yeah.
Because nobody's still doing YouTube. And people look at you funny. It was like, oh, you got a show? Yeah, I got a TV show. Oh, what channel? I was like, oh, it's on YouTube. Oh, it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
At that time, it was that.
Yeah. And that was like, oh.
Oh,
yeah.
You.
Yeah.
Oh, podcast. Oh, all right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a podcast.
Yeah.
So I sent it to the guy. I was shocked he got back to me.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "Hey man, it's a great video. Good job. He said you're about 7 years away from being on TV. He said maybe you should start start going to a local, small TV stations in like Savannah or his name." I'm thinking like instantly, he's like, "Man, this dude a hater." So put a pin in that. So we get to I'm doing these games. I'm like, man, this is pretty awesome. I feel like still I think I'm killing it now. I got the website booming. I'm doing games now. I get connected. I'm scouting the East Stroudsburg game, and this guy came up to me and was like, "Hey man, what are you doing?" I'm like, "One, I'm minding my own business." Like, he was like, "No." And he said our halftime guest bailed on us. Like, would you want to come on and talk about what you're doing? He looked at me like football game plan. Like, say less. It's an ESPN3 broadcast, but it's also shown locally on these Pennsylvania TV stations. So I go in there, I do my thing, and then I hit the guy up 2 years later, and I was like, "Hey man, y'all looking for color analysts?" And he was like, "Yeah, we just got this new deal with Morgan State, with the MEAC, with the PSAC. So would you mind doing?" So now my schedule is full. I got games every Saturday for different outlets. I did 2 games a day for 2 separate networks in 2 separate cities. I did it twice.
Damn.
So
a lot of travel.
Yeah, but no one has ever done that in history in football. They've done it in basketball, but no one's ever done that yet in football outside of me. So it was I had a Georgetown Lehigh game, a Georgetown Holy Cross game at noon, and a Morgan State game and Howard game so the Georgetown was in DC.
Mm-hmm.
The Morgan State is in Baltimore. So that game kicked off at 6. So after that game the Georgetown game was done, I had to hot tail it up 95 to get to headset on, do the so did it twice. So
incredible.
Now I'm booming, I'm doing things, and it's 2018, and I get I get an email from a guy at CBS Sports HQ. I don't know how he got my info. And he was like, "Hey man, we had a guest. We don't know if you want to jump on and do your thing." He was like, "It's this, if you have Skype." So we jumped on. It was with Danny Cannell and Raja Bell. They had a podcast at the time. CBS Sports HQ had just started their thing. It was like streaming. I'm thinking it's CBS, right? I'm telling people, "Hey, tune on CBS." And be like, "I don't see you." Like, nah, but I'm on. I'm looking at so I didn't know what it was. So I do the thing. I go to the gym. I come back about an hour and a half later. I got like missed calls and emails, and it was just like, "Hey man, the guys like you. Would you want to come on every week?" Now, so it's 2018. I go back to the email that the dude sent me on LinkedIn. I was like, bro, he wasn't lying. He was dead on, like almost to the year. It was like
7 years.
Yeah, and it was like, dang, that's crazy. So then I had this full circle moment because I get on in 2020 with CBS Sports HQ because it's like, we want to bring you on.
Damn.
And so I look at the
it's incredible.
The work from 13 to 19 and 20, and it's like, I thought I was ready, boy, I am sharp now. Now I'm ready. And
You know,
now
that's funny,
it
man.
happens.
You ever have those personal, like those internal conversations with yourself where you like you ask yourself like an honest question of like, are you ready? Right? Because like I remember when I first started this thing and I wanted more. I wanted more success. I wanted everything. And I remember asking myself internally, like, Darren, are you ready? And I remember being like, no, you know, and feeling a little bit more confident now and feeling a little bit like ready for the next level now, you know, and you being in 2020 confidently being like, I belong here. You
Yeah.
know, that's
It
incredible.
was in the full circle I belong here moment happened that Thanksgiving was my first time in studio. Because again, this is COVID protocols. So my first time in studio was for Thanksgiving. First time being in a studio setting, you know, where I have to set up the cameras,
Yep.
the mics, or nothing. I just get to talk football.
That's beautiful.
And so now I'm doing my thing, and we having a great segment, and you know we previewing the games, and then we breaking down what we just saw. Then the producer was like, "Man, you've done TV before?" I was like, "Not like this." He's like, "Man, you knew what cameras look at. You was following the red light. You was looking at the camera." Like, bro, I've been doing YouTube since 2009. Like, I ain't got to
We've
set
been
none of this
doing
stuff up. This
Yeah.
I did my 10,000 hours. This is something this easy to me.
Right.
Like, I can literally I used to always tell my girl this, like, man, I wish I could just go into some place and just talk football. I wish I don't have to worry about, I hope this video recording.
Yeah.
I hope the tape didn't stop. I
Yeah.
hope my mic on.
Right.
Like, I don't have that in my head now. I
Yeah.
can just go and just get these takes off.
Yeah.
And that was that moment where I realized, like, I belong here.
It's incredible. All right, so like as we close this interview out, what is your message to anybody that might be pursuing anything that they find meaningful?
Stay in that boat long enough, you're gonna hit land eventually. You know, and if it's really about being passionate about something, sticking with it, seeing it through, and that if those feelings are true, it'll work out for you. I have never seen hard work not pay off, and hard work funneled in the right direction to not pay off. I've never seen that happen. Even you need to be, you know, a little bit crazy. You have to have some sort of ego that you can do it.
Right.
Because think about it. Like, just to think about, again, going back to the high school story, like, nice, I'm on a team. What the heck? This still this, false.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like that ego, thinking one person could change, but you have to have that type of mentality. And also, when we started Football Gameplan, it was like, we want to be a network. What the hell are you talking about? This is a website we talk about network. This is before YouTube and podcasting. But this was my thinking of, we want to be exactly what these networks
That's
doing.
what you're talking about when you said dream bigger.
Dream bigger. And because, again, I want to be on the college game. Here you go, career over. It's like, damn, if I would have, you know what I'm saying? So you got to dream big, because it literally, I know the thing is, you are what you manifest, and whatever you think about presents itself so when you're thinking positively, you start to see opportunities.
Right.
And when you're thinking negatively, all you see is roadblocks.
Right.
So, and when they're having that mindset of being true to who you are, trusting your talents, believing in yourself and believing in your idea, because you've put so much work and time into it, eventually the thing will work out.
I love that, man. Well, thank you for your time today, bro. And we didn't get to everything, but I'm definitely going to have you back on and continue to talk about some of the great things you're doing. Thanks again for your time.
Appreciate you, Darren. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, man.